Shapi, it's Nne. I have a story to tell you. Once upon a time, in a small town, where the sun rose gently over the red earth, there lived a young girl named Omowumi. From childhood, Omowumi was known for two things. She was hardworking and she was intelligent. In her primary school days, her teachers often called her name with pride. She was always among the first in her class. She read quickly, understood deeply, and answered questions with a confidence that surprised even the adults. Her parents were not wealthy, but their hearts were full of hope because they believed that with education, Omawumi's future would be bright. When she entered secondary school, she carried the same light. She studied hard, passed her examinations, and often helped her classmates who struggled. Many whispered that she was destined to be great. And truly, Omawumi dreamed of sitting in lecture halls, of one day wearing a graduation gown, of making her parents proud. But life is not always as smooth as we dream it. When her secondary school days ended, a heavy shadow fell upon her dream. Her parents could no longer afford to send her to the university. The money was not there. The little they earned was barely enough to feed the family and to keep the house running. At first, Omowumi wept. She felt like her future had been stolen, but she was not a girl who gave up easily. If she could not continue with school immediately, she would find another path. So she decided to learn a skill. She went to train as a hairdresser. Now, Omawumi was not an ordinary learner. Her intelligence showed itself in everything she touched. Within a short time, she learned every style: long braids, neat weaves, bold Ghana weavings, delicate twists. Customers were amazed at how her hands moved. She made no mistakes. Her madam, the woman who trained her, often shook her head and said, "This girl is truly gifted. There is no style she cannot do." Soon, Omawumi finished her training and began to work for someone. Every day she braided hair, styled wigs, and transformed women's looks. She had a good job, she had a bright hand, and she had a chance to save money and later continue her education. But then something changed. Omawumi began to look around her. She saw her old classmates, those who had gone on to the university. She saw their pictures on social media, smiling in lecture halls, wearing stylish clothes, attending events, and each time she looked, her heart burned. She thought to herself, "See how they are moving forward. And me, am I just going to stay here, making hair, while my mates are in school?" Her parents encouraged her to be patient. Her madam told her to focus and save money. She still had a chance to go to school later. Life is not a race, and everyone's journey is different. But Omowumi's ear began to close. Peer pressure whispered louder. Her heart grew restless. As the seasons turned, Omowumi's gifts with her hands became well known. Customers would sit in her chair and rise with smiles, their hair shining like flowing rivers. Her name began to spread beyond her street. She had work, she had a skill, and she had respect. But the human heart is a restless thing. When it looks too much at what others are doing, it begins to forget its own blessings. Omawumi began to compare her life to the lives of her former classmates. Each time she saw them, her chest tightened. They wore university badges, carried books, and spoke about lectures. She imagined herself in their place, sitting in lecture theaters, walking across campus. She wished she was among them. Instead of waiting, saving, and planning her own way, she allowed their progress make her feel small. And then the whispers of the world began to call her. One evening, a group of young women came into the salon. They were loud, their voices carrying laughter that seemed to have no end. They had makeup on their faces, perfume on their skin, and confidence in their steps. Omawumi watched them, curious. Later, one of them leaned close to her and said, Omawumi, you are too fine to be wasting your time here. Aren't you tired of standing always? Look at you, smart, beautiful. You can be enjoying life instead of standing here, morning till night, making people's hair. At first, Omawumi laughed and shook her head, but the words remained. Like seeds, they began to grow in her mind. Soon, she started sneaking out. At first, it was only once in a while. Nobody knew where she went. Not her parents, not her madam. She kept her lips sealed. After all, she was no longer a little girl. She was 25, a grown woman. She told herself she had the right to live as she pleased. But the night is a tricky place. It hides both beauty and danger. And while some go out and return safely, others are not so fortunate. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, whispers began to rise. Her parents asked, Omawumi, where have you been going? Her madam too asked, My dear, why do you disappear at night and return with tired eyes? Omawumi had no answer. She simply smiled, or she kept silent. No one knew the full truth. No one knew the path she was walking. One night, as usual, Omawumi wore a bright dress, powdered her face, and slipped quietly into the darkness. But that night was not like the others. On that path, she fell into the hands of people with wicked hearts. Nobody knew exactly what they did to her. Nobody knew where they took her. All the villagers knew was that Omawumi returned the next morning with her eyes swollen and her body trembling. She forced herself to walk. She tried to walk as if nothing was wrong, but her steps were weak. She tried to smile, but the corners of her lips would not obey. Her madam asked, My dear, are you well? Omawumi forced a nod, but later that day, she held her stomach and whispered, My body is doing me somehow. My body is burning me inside. Her madam quickly gave her medicine, hoping it would calm her. But instead, Omawumi's pain grew louder. She began to cry. Is this how I will die? So this is how I will die. She couldn't even make the hair of the customer that booked her that day. Her voice carried her through the night, filling the compound with fear. By morning, her pain had turned into something darker. Omawumi began to act strangely. She screamed without reason. She tore her own clothes. She chased after her younger brother with a sharp object, her eyes wide, her strength frightening. The family held her down. Neighbors gathered, some weeping, some whispering. They could no longer control her, so they carried her to a white garment church. There, she was tied for her own safety and for the safety of those around her. 7 days passed. She shouted. She cried. She rolled on the floor, calling the names of unseen beings, speaking words that made no sense. Her once bright eyes became lost in shadows. On the 7th day, Omawumi's voice grew weak. She whispered her mother's name, tears running down her face. And before the sun set, Omawumi's journey on this earth came to an end. The girl who once held promise, the girl whose hands could weave beauty from strands of hair, was no more. In the weeks that followed, the whole town mourned Omawumi. Women sat outside their compounds, shaking their heads. Men spoke in hushed voices about how a life so full of promise could vanish so quickly. Her old schoolmates could not believe it. They remembered the bright, cheerful girl who once came first in her class, the one who solved sums on the board faster than anyone else. Her parents sat quietly, their eyes heavy, their voices broken. They remembered how she used to sing while sweeping, how she used to laugh when rain fell hard on the zinc roof. They remembered her dreams, her bright hopes, and their hearts broke again and again. The elders gathered the young ones one evening. They sat under the mango tree, the moon casting a pale glow on their faces. An elder cleared his throat and said, "My children, listen well. Life is not a race that all of us must run at the same speed. Some climb quickly, some climb slowly. Some reach the mountain top in their youth, others reach it in their old age. But in the end, each one who is patient, each one who is steadfast, each one who does not give up will reach the place they are meant to reach." Omawumi's fall is not just a tragedy, it is a warning. She was gifted, she was hardworking, but she allowed the noise of others to drown out her own journey. She wanted to move before her time. She wanted to shine when her season had not yet arrived, and so she was carried away. The elder paused, his voice trembling. "My children, do not allow the pressure of friends to bend you. Do not allow their laughter to mock you into foolishness. If your path seems slow, walk it with faith. If your journey seems long, walk it with courage." Omowumi's story teaches us that beauty, talent, and wisdom are not enough. Patience is the key that unlocks destiny. The young ones nodded. Some wiped tears. Some stared into the night, thinking of their own lives, their own choices. And so the story of Umawumi became one of those tales carried by the wind, told by mothers to their daughters, told by fathers to their sons, told by neighbors at moonlight gatherings. A story of a girl who could have reached the stars, but who let impatience pull her down. And each time the tale was told, the children of the village whispered to themselves, "I will not run before my time. I will not allow the laughter of others to push me from my path." And the moon above shone silently, carrying Omowumi's memory into the endless sky.